man. Rock's not dead, it just smells bad.
Hello and welcome to episode 3 of the Rock's Not Dead, It Just Smells Bad podcast with your host Tom Auton.
And myself, Dan Weaver.
And we are here with our first guest today. We have Sam Jenkins. Well done. We timed that really well. Let's go that again. 3, 2, 1. Sam Jenkins. Fantastic.
Been practicing that all day.
All day. How are we, Sam? We good?
Good, man.
In case we haven't noticed, Sam is from Finding Aurora, because we didn't tell him that in the intro, which we probably should have done. So, Sam from Finding Aurora is
just
here.
This random dude.
This is just going. This is already going really well. And Dan, would you like to tell us what today's topic is on the podcast?
Well, our topic for episode 3 of the podcast is how do you get started in music? Now, Sam, do you have any thoughts on, how you got your start in music? Any advice you'd want to give to people?
Well, how did you get started, mainly? Like, what was your story? What did you do? Did you play in open mics? Did you put videos out, if that was a thing when you first started? Or, how did you get started?
Well, I mean, when I was I'd say 11 or 12 now. We've never actually spoke about this, have we, before?
I don't think so.
No.
Yeah. I think when I was 11 or 12, every teenager does, you discover a band you really like for the first time. And for me, it was Nirvana, you know what I mean?
Okay. I would have thought you said AC/DC, but okay.
I mean, when I was, I guess, I don't know, that stuff kind of came later on, a few years later.
Yeah.
But I always remember the moment I heard that band Nirvana for the first time,
What was the first song?
I was playing Guitar Hero on, my Xbox or whatever, and it was Guitar Hero 5 or something, and I played, my mate was over, he's like, play Smells Like Teen Spirit, that song. And I was like, this drum fill and the guitars, I was like, oh my god, what is this song? I think everything about it was just so perfect, and it just sounded like a really sick band. And it turns out they're just one of the biggest bands in history, arguably the biggest band of the 90s, so
massive,
that was it. I heard that song for the first time, and then I remember buying Nevermind and then In Utero and stuff like that on CD. That was after though. I remember on my 12th birthday I had a record player. I was like, I gotta get some vinyl and stuff, man. It was a really cool thing for me, because I was, this stuff wasn't brought onto me, so for me it was wow,
you stumbled upon it yourself. It wasn't your parents weren't into music and they were like, oh, you should listen to this sort of thing. It was something you just totally discovered by yourself, and you thought, fuck me, this is great.
And it was I think as a teenager, I think those early years and stuff, when you're 11 or 12, that really does define the next, I guess your life, really.
I think so.
Who you are and your character.
100%.
And then after that, did you start singing first or guitar first? Based
guitar,
on that?
man.
Yeah.
100. I was
awesome.
The quietest kid in school. I had friends. I got
I had mates.
I did have friends, you know what I mean? But and I'm still friends with a lot of people I went to school with, man. They're super tight. They came to our gigs and stuff.
Oh, class.
It's sick, man. It's really, really good. But I was a super quiet kid in school, so guitar for me was
your way of kind of getting away from
all I could think about. I had lessons off my neighbor and stuff for a year or two or something, and they were
who's your neighbor?
His name's Brian, man. He's a 70-year-old dude, plays guitar.
Class,
he actually played
nice.
with the Who in some high school in the 60s or something,
that's
man.
awesome.
And so he taught me guitar and stuff, and the first song I ever learned on guitar was REM, Everybody Hurts, because it's
it's
that same.
And you were picking the strings rather than just just going for it. So that for me, that then obviously REM was another band, but Nirvana
it's funny. I'm just imagining you just playing Everybody Hurts by yourself in your room,
dude.
a shy teenager.
A really out of tune guitar, but so it was Nirvana. That was the band. If someone says to me, what was the first band you've gone into? Nirvana, 100%. And I remember when I was 12 or 13, when I had that record player, I went into town, Newport Market, made Criminal Records. The guy Dean Bettis who runs
still there?
it. It's not in the market, but it's in town now.
Oh, cool.
Because something happened with
awesome,
business.
Yeah, you just find that a lot of these places go out of business. So I was just is it still there? Is it not? It's one of those things. But that's great that it's still there.
In the 80s and stuff, we can get on that stuff later, but there was a big record store called Rock Scene Records, and
I've heard of that.
My uncle had stories. He was telling me you go to Rock Scene and they would print you a band, or make you a band t-shirt, bootleg band t-shirts and patches and all that stuff. But I went to Criminal Records, and he had like a rack thing, you know, like a wooden rack with like boxes and stuff, and you would go there. And I remember actually before that, this is getting so like detailed. I love it's good to tell this story. I
it's
love
what,
it.
it's what
Like,
we're here for, man. We're here for the details.
I remember when my sister had her prom, like, dude, I could probably remember what I was wearing at that time as well. Like, but I remember when my sister was having a prom, my mum had to take her like prom dress to be like adjusted or something.
Yeah, sure.
And in the market round the corner, like, there's like a place that does that. So I remember walking past, and this is when I was into like, you know, I got into Nevermind and like, you know, all that great stuff. And I remember seeing on the shelf of Criminal Records was Nirvana Nevermind like singles vinyl box set. I was like,
awesome.
Oh my
Okay.
god, there was like
Awesome.
Kurt Cobain, like Dave Grohl, Chris Novoselic. I was like, that looks so good. And it was like 60 quid. I was like, what the hell? I could never like afford that.
Fuck, that's
I think it was like an
expensive.
OG, like, you know, 90s
great,
when it came out.
So like going from like playing Everybody Hurts alone in your room, how did you then, you know, get like a band together and start like gigging and performing? You know, how did that come about?
That came like years, like an
Really?
eternity later. Yeah.
Did you play anything, like, you ever play any like open mics by yourself or anything like that? Or was it just like, is Finding Aurora the first project you've been in and this is it?
Yeah.
Really?
I mean, like,
there's been no projects before
No,
that? Like no
I mean-
solo thing? No like...
dude, no, not at all. I
Did
mean,
you
like,
jam with anyone else before Finding Aurora?
school? Yeah. So
Yeah.
school, that's how I kind of met the guys in the band and stuff.
Okay.
Like,
Oh, that's awesome.
but yeah, so it was really that. I mean, yeah, I guess my whole journey is like discovering Nirvana, then your life changes as a
That's
teenage
crazy,
kid.
man.
Oh yeah,
But I still remember that time when I bought In Utero on vinyl, and it's like an orange thing, and it turns out it's like a bootleg as well. So it's like a rip off, like
Fuck
thing.
it. Doesn't matter. Still,
Yeah, I mean, I heard that, put it on like my this crappy old turntable thing. I was like, oh my god! Like, heard like the opening track, "Serve the Servants," the drum sounds, and everything on that album. Like,
is that Dave Grohl? Obviously,
Yeah.
Or you just in?
I mean,
insane?
Steve Albini produced and recorded the album.
okay.
And like, I read interviews later where he was like, you know, they wanted like a supernatural like sound, and like it sounded like they were in the room, and the album really does. Like,
Oh yeah, I mean it's a
you
great
know,
album. Like it's so well produced.
super album. Like,
I mean, all of Nirvana stuff is awesome.
Amazing,
So
right?
It's
But,
just such a good.
Like it masters like the whole thing of like sounding incredibly raw, like you are in a room, but also sounds like massive and
one of the best
yet
albums.
still
Yeah.
produced, if that makes sense. So it's like, it's definitely hard to find that balance.
But
Do you know what, it's funny? I think on my Spotify Wrapped for like 2019, like Nevermind was like my most played album, like for the whole year.
Mad.
Yeah, it's still I'm massively into Nirvana.
Yeah, and it's
I
like,
love
you know,
it, man.
2022
Yeah.
now, and that still just goes to show that how influential I think those
Yeah, definitely,
those albums
man.
and stuff were. So when was Finding Aurora's first gig? How did you actually like end up booking it? Was that like, did you email them? Did they ask you? Like, what was it?
Well, I mean, like, I think when you start and you don't have anyone, or like, you know, you've just rehearsed a bunch of songs or whatever you've written, you know, you're like, oh, what do? We better go play a gig. So, you know, you just do what you can, just see what's online or whatever. And
Yeah.
I think in this day and age, you know, social media, oh, you can find this person who does this, and like, just message them, man. Like, you have nothing to lose. Like, even now, like, you know, a couple of years later, like, we still have nothing to lose, really. I mean, like, you just do it, and you know, if you make money, you do. But like, you know, it's one of those things. So yeah, we just.
So you
spoke to
emailed
someone.
them, and then basically they got the gig. So it's just like, although we're talking about sort of our experiences and stuff with it, it's just also making sure that if there are other people out there that are starting out, and it can be a bit overwhelming, it's just trying to maybe give them a couple pieces of advice that maybe, you know, even it's massive how different it is starting out when we started to comparing to like how starting out like
man,
today.
like, it's a totally different experience, like altogether.
Yeah.
It's so strange. But yeah, I mean, it is good to kind of know like just the basics of like who to get in contact with, how to go about it, like, and just to know that there is an appetite for like people want to hear new things. you know? So yeah.
I mean,
So like things I mean, if I was going to give some tips, I think the things I'd say recommend is obviously you can email people, but I think you're more likely when we started out, you know, be that a few years ago, whatever it was, to have got a response. I think now people are so busy that I think emails could even be oversaturated, especially as a new band, because people only want to put on acts that can sell tickets. I would say. I think now it's actually probably harder to get that first gig.
Yeah.
I think because I think it's the longer it goes, the longer time moves on, I think the harder it's going to be, because there's going to be more people on the planet. Therefore, there's going to be more, you know, more competition, and there's not an increase in venues. If anything, there's a decrease in venues. Lots of places are shutting down, so it's then becoming harder again. So you can try emailing people, I'd say. You know, emailing venues, promoters, or even if you look on a venue that's near you and you think, right, let's have a look at some of the bands that have already got gigs booked booked in,
Yeah.
and let's say, right, let's message them and say, oh, can we come and be support? I mean, there's that way, because obviously messaging a venue that might be overwhelmed, but you can look at their roster and say, right, they've already got these gigs booked in. Like, I'd say maybe look at, I don't know, 2-3 months in advance, something like that, just so you know that, they might not have had supports booked already. And you can kind of like just message them on Facebook, find them individually, Google their band name, Google what, you kind of have to really like try very hard, I'd say, to try and like get that booking in. And maybe if you don't get a couple of responses, maybe go out to one of the shows that you were looking to try and support at, then chat to the band there.
Yeah, I've always found that's the best way. Like what I've always done, like I've been playing in loads of different bands for years. It was just always just to like go down to the music venue, like go speak to the other bands, go speak to whoever put it on, go speak to the bar staff, speak to everyone, and just tell them what you're about, not in a forced way, but just kind of say, oh yeah, I'm in a band too, I was kind of interested in playing here one day, it could be fun, something like I do this kind of thing, and I could jump on with this kind of band, and then people will take notice because you've made an impression and built a relationship.
Yeah, 100%. I think that for me, it's very easy to send an email. I think it shows initiative if you actually go down to that show. It's like, oh, they've clearly made the effort. They've bought a ticket. They've cleared their schedule.
Show your face, man.
Yeah, you've shown your face, and I think that's a massive part. And I think for me, that's the best thing you can do. You can email, but I'd say email is a tool that you should use to follow up after you've seen them in person.
Yeah.
Rather than just a cold email from someone that you don't know. You're not that likely to respond, I would say. If I was the person getting an email, I've got a cold email from a band that I've never heard of, they've never shown any interest in anything I'm doing, why would I want to respond? I wouldn't. If they come down to my show and they go, oh, that was great, even if they thought it was bollocks, I couldn't care. I've seen the fact that they've come down to the show, they've shown support, and, I'm way more likely to be like, yeah, all right, yeah, go on, then we'll put you on for a gig.
Yeah, I mean, that would be my biggest tip, is like just go show your face, build some relationships, show an interest.
Be part of the scene.
Yeah. I mean, what would you say would be like your biggest tips for like bands like starting out or trying to get their first gig or something like that?
Go to gigs that, that the venues are putting on. I think it's pretty simple. Like, it is and it isn't. I mean, like, I guess, like you say, a couple of years ago, you could just like drop someone a message or whatever and be like, ooh, do this for us. Or, can you get us on this bill? Like, we've done that so many times, like, but, like, I guess the best, I think there's a few things I could like say, from my kind of experience, just, you have nothing to lose. Like, you are not like Oasis or, this or, we're still like, we've been doing this a couple of years, but, we're all kind of in the same boat, man.
Yeah.
Like, we have nothing to lose. You have everything else to gain at this point in your career, or if it's a hobby. Or whatever
I guess just like don't be afraid to give things a try.
Yeah.
Like just see what works.
What's the worst thing to do? Say no.
Yeah.
Oh my god! Like
100%.
Yeah, put yourself out there.
So one more thing I wanted to touch on actually is once you've got that first gig, I think it's the hardest thing to do. I'd say is get that first gig, because like after that first gig, I feel like it's probably like a lot easier to get gigs after that.
Yeah, I mean, there's that great thing of, you can meet people at your shows who maybe are looking for a support band for their next show, or they know people who want to put something on and you're the right kind of fit, or even they just, they like your music enough that they may recommend you to new fans, and then you have more demand for another show.
Yeah, that's it, man. I think you do that, and then you post some photos online, people have seen that you've done a gig, and then once you've kind of done a few and you've maybe not established yourself, but you've got comfortable with playing, and it's not like a brand new thing where you're like, what the fuck am I doing? Because you do obviously work a lot of it out as you go. One thing I would recommend actually is then, like, if you have any friends that are in bands that are in different cities to where you are, because that's another massive thing, is getting out of your hometown once you've played, because it's so easy to play like every other venue in your hometown and all, near enough to your hometown, like.
Yeah, I mean, we must have played the Moon in Cardiff like probably at least like 25.
Yeah, I mean, we love
times.
it, but it's like you've got to try and play somewhere else to try and show progression. So the other thing I want to talk about is gig swapping. So find a band that is in a different city, be it Bristol if you're in Cardiff, or wherever, Manchester, London, and say, right, if we do a headline, you can be the main support for us. They don't have to sell any tickets. They can just come down and play. And then if they do a headline in their hometown and we go to them and then we support them, we don't have to sell any tickets, because obviously that's the main thing, is you got to try and sell tickets, but you don't have to in this situation. They sell all the tickets and you just swap. So we did this recently with a band called Skilly Knowledge from Bournemouth, right? Great band. They played a blinding set at our show in Cardiff, which is great.
Just awesome.
And they opened for us. They didn't have to sell any tickets. No one knew who they were in Cardiff. No one. They'd never played there before. Wow. So they came to what was a sold out show. They played to 100 and whatever it was people, 100, 200, 300 people, whatever was there.
Yeah, they had a great show too.
They had a great show. Everyone's like people are moshing crazy,
awesome.
for a support band. It's mental, it was a really good gig. Everyone was really up for it. And then we had a show booked in with them to play in Bournemouth, and then they pretty much sold out the place that they were playing as well. So had we made that gig, it would have been a great gig.
Yeah, I'm sure it would have been really fun.
It would have been amazing. Yeah. So gig swapping is the other thing I wanted to talk about. And if you've kind of started gigging, right? So the next section of the podcast, now that we've kind of given a few tips and we've spoken about past experiences, is Instagram questions. So earlier today, Sam put out a thing on Instagram stories and said, ask me some questions, can be anything, doing a podcast and that kind of thing. Right.
Oh, we definitely can't ask that one.
There's a few here that I'm not looking forward to. Okay. There's a question. I won't say who it's from. How many shish kebabs do you have per week?
Well, I mean, where I work and stuff, like, there's a lot of takeaway restaurants and things like that. So,
where do you work? You work with your dad, right?
With my dad, yeah, and my uncle as well. So it's great. It's good fun, man. Like, it's good work, But the food. So, like lunch 1 till 2. What am I gonna have for lunch? So there's a variety of European, takeaways and stuff.
Kebab shops, mate. There's loads of kebab shops.
Yeah, like stuff like that, you know what I mean? So this is really good one in Newport, and it's called like Sen Bakery and Grill, man.
Ooh,
like
brilliant.
It's the place. And this guy works there like every day and night. He's the only guy who like really does, the business stuff, I guess, and cooks all the food. So you go in there. And I probably like 3 times a week I'll eat a shish kebab.
3 kebabs a week.
Well, I mean,
man, I don't think I've ever even eaten a kebab sober, let alone like 3 times.
It's nice. I mean, the thing is, I eat it and I'm still hungry, so something in my body is just like, oh yeah, like
Yeah, and what was it? What was it you said that your kebab restaurant owner calls you when you?
So every time I go there, hand him the money, gives me the change. He goes, "You're a gentleman."
Oh, that's nice.
Without fail, dude. Every time we go in there, and he like knows who I am now. Like so,
I know there's one place down there, Golden Barbecue. They call me Boss Man.
Boss Man.
That's pretty standard, though. I'd say that's like I think Boss Man is like a.
Yeah, I get boss. I feel like gentleman is.
Gentleman, so you've like leveled up from Boss Man. It's like you've got all right, Boss Man. That's like just whoever's walking in, any old gentleman. You are level 2 kebab. Yeah. That's where you're at, mate.
Yeah, that means that you like own shares in his kebab business.
That's what it is.
It's great.
Really, you're a gentleman, mate. Yeah. I mean, what's above gentleman?
Sir.
Ooh.
Yeah.
King.
Yeah. King. I'd say king. I think sir could be like. Sir is just quite polite. Sir could be. I'd say king.
Yeah.
All right,
like,
king.
Here's your kebab.
Like
king.
Tips
That's what it is. That's what it is.
You ready for another question?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Right. Do it.
Where did the name come from?
Ooh. This is
as in finding Aurora.
Yeah, fine. I didn't mean Sam.
I pictured like for me, like I guess growing up and stuff, and obviously like through teenage years when you kind of like I don't know, finding yourself and stuff a bit more. For me, like it was important, like at an early age, like 13, 14 or whatever. Like I say early, like that's like early teens, where like you kind of find like what you like in life. So I when I think of Aurora, I think of something really nice and like meaningful to yourself, So I guess there's some meaning behind it, but like, when I think of Aurora, you think of like the beautiful lights and stuff, and it was all about.
So it's like chasing that, finding that,
like what makes
what makes you tick.
Yeah,
basically,
it's nice.
Something you connect with.
That's nice, man. Because to be fair, you speak to a lot of bands, and they're like, oh, what's the name come from? Like, oh, it just sounded cool. And it's nice to actually hear something that has a bit of meaning behind it.
Yeah, I mean, cool. we're called Tom Auton and the Bottle Breakers because I broke a bottle on holiday.
Yeah,
that's literally
trying to play guitar.
Yeah,
and that was it. I mean, that's that's
yours is a lot more like
I prefer yours.
Poetic.
I think I might make up a story that like we're all raging alcoholics. Or we were.
Well, I mean that's true as well.
Yeah, I mean you are. I mean
this guy has like. He's like immune to alcohol. I swear to God.
Apart from that one time where he threw up full chicken chunks off the back of my car.
I wasn't immune to alcohol after your show.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Was that one?
Yeah. On the way back from your show, he was like in the car and he was just like making these strange sounds, and I was like, oh fuck. Because I didn't drink that whole night.
Making strange
He was making some like odd noises, and I was just like, yeah, just like grunting, groaning. And I was like, this is
so
bad. Like I've never seen him this bad. I was like, mate, you're right. And he's like, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that's not a reassuring yes. So I was like, just do the window down, and I'm fucking glad I did, because like he just spewed everywhere out the car. Obviously, I was like, mate, I made it very clear. I was like, if you throw up in my car, not that it's a particularly great car, but I was like, I'm gonna fucking kill you.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't blame you. It was a nasty.
It was like full. It was like, honestly, he could have just like, if there was a plate there, you could have passed that off as like chicken pasta. Like
Beautiful.
Oh, man,
Yeah.
that's not a restaurant I want to go
Sure,
to.
someone would buy that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Should we
Yeah.
move on to the game?
Let's. I want to do like, one or two
doing
more
another
questions.
question?
Yeah,
Another
one or two
two
more
questions?
questions. All right.
We definitely can't ask that.
Okay, we can ask this one though. Okay, this is a question for all of us actually. So, whose farts smell the worst out of all of us?
I mean, depends what you eat. And funny enough,
I mean,
after-
based on what you've just said that you eat, I'd say
Probably
I was
you.
gonna say, well, I mean, after eating like the stuff I consume in like a week, like it's not that bad, man. Like,
Yeah.
But from what you told us before we started,
Yeah,
this
true. Yeah, I did have to
I just
like.
did a massive.
I did have to light a candle because I
it's
I
not
farted
it's
and
not in shot
disgusting.
anymore. But yeah, Tom lit a candle and put it there before we all came into
Yeah,
the
a
room.
good like half hour before they came, just to
Yeah.
make sure. I was just like, oh my god, this is like lethal.
man.
So all right then, so we'll go with mine. And I think that question was actually from my girlfriend. I think she would concur the fact that my farts fucking reek.
I feel
Lily,
like it's a
confirm.
loaded question.
It is a
She's
loaded question,
expecting us to say
100%.
you.
She knows exactly who's worst. Right, okay. So now we move on to section 3 of the podcast, and this is a new game, newly named by Daniel Weaver, Shandy
Yes.
Haranged over here.
Yes, thank you.
And it's called Gargaloki. And for those of you that have listened to episode 1 and 2, you know exactly what we're going to do. For those of you who haven't, this is a game where we put water in our mouths, and the other people who don't have water in their mouths have to try and guess what the song is that we have to gargle a song.
Yeah, that is exactly it.
That is exactly it. So we're going to start, or Shandy's going to start. Sorry, Dan's going to start. Call him by his
Actual name.
actual name.
A man of many
My
nicknames.
sex name for him. All right, edit that out. That's bad.
God, I thought we wouldn't tell anyone. Right. So basically, you have to think of a song. You get some water in your mouth, you gargle it, and you kind of hum it. Not
Yeah,
sing it.
tip is to not don't get too much water in there because it's
Yeah.
really hard.
The
It's like
key
a
is
waterfall. Yeah.
just a little bit of water. Otherwise, it's like being waterboarded. It's
Yeah.
not nice.
Yeah, we've tried. So right, Shandy's gonna go. Fucking Dan's gonna go first.
I think I would.
All right.
Is it weird that I know what that is?
Oh wait, is that
That's my song.
Kick around?
The one that you produced.
Yeah.
You got it.
Class. Right, Sam, do you
Good
want to go?
choice.
So that's the idea.
Give it a go. Could be anything. Could be one of your favorite songs from like a big band.
Yeah.
Could be something. I mean, maybe go for like a bigger song.
I listen to a lot of like daytime radio and stuff, and I know like the songs, but I don't know who sings them.
Well, you can try it and see if we know it.
All right.
Okay, do you want me to move the mic or something?
No, you're fine.
No,
I'll
it'll be
just
alright.
I'll boost it. For anyone that's watching on YouTube, you will have noticed that our second camera died, so we've now gone to one camera, and you just get us now. There's no back and forth. Right, so we were coming to you on your Gargaloki round. So what's the song? Actually, no, don't tell us the song. Because we need to guess it. Yeah, don't fucking do that.
Okay.
Right,
Yeah.
go for it.
Okay,
What's the song?
Okay. Oh, I'm just thinking of what it would sound like in my head. When
Just
I
do it,
No,
mate.
just-
Even
just
if it's
go for
fucking
it, man.
bollocks, just do it.
Sorry.
Let me go again. Wait,
I wasn't expecting it to be
the
so high
singer I'm
pitched.
doing is like
Do that and just come forward a bit more. Bro, Angry Birds. I don't know.
I couldn't.
Don't you want me
even
to sing
guess.
another line?
Yeah, please.
I don't. Honestly, man, I don't think I'm gonna get that.
Mate, it's good as I know.
man.
Any guesses, Reeve?
Is it Shape of You, Ed Sheeran? No, mate,
Mate.
not a clue.
Did you know Ed Sheeran was in Game of Thrones, guys?
Nah, I have no idea. What was that?
What was it? Tell us.
That was AC/DC Back in Black.
Was it?
Back in Black!
Oh, do you know what? Yeah, I can hear it now.
Nah, I can't hear it.
Oh, man.
Right.
Your turn, Tom.
This is a slightly more obscure one. You might get it.
Okay.
You might not. Depends on how good your 2005 pop culture is. Oh no, 2005. I don't know. Could be wrong.
Funny enough, it's absolutely terrible. So.
Yeah, maybe more 2010.
Oh, that's my favourite.
Oh, I know. Okay, I got it.
Big difference.
Okay. I'll do it up the key. Assad, hang on.
Oh, my God.
No, that was solid, though. And no one could get that. Hang on.
Shit.
It's not even. Go on.
I don't even know.
Is it by Tiny Temper?
No, I was gonna do that though.
Oh,
I was gonna do that.
That's interesting.
It was actually my attempt at playing IAZ replay.
I don't even know that.
Do you not? Like,
what even is
right. I mean, I couldn't have given you the name.
No, I mean, to be fair, I'm really shit at this game, so this is just basically a game of watch me gag.
What's the name of the person?
IAZ.
Oh, yeah.
Mate.
Yeah.
Class.
I do remember the song though.
Yeah. Anyway, well, we'll do one more round. One more round.
Okay.
So
Oh my
give me
God.
one more song. Yeah.
All right. Okay. Right. It's probably not our cup of tea, but you should be able to guess it.
Yeah?
Hopefully.
Oh, baby, Justin Bieber.
Oh, I got that line, man.
Yeah.
Class. Fair play.
Yeah, thank you,
Fair play.
thank you.
That was good. Right, Samo,
I've been practicing.
give me the song. I just can't gargle. I'm just not good at gargling.
Dude, it's like
hard,
when you
yeah.
do it, and like for the people watching, like when I was doing it then, like, oh, this is super easy. Like, but then when I heard you do it, I was like, just sounds like
I mean,
you're drowning.
I am really bad at it, by the way. Like, Weave's
I
definitely.
didn't think you would be good at it. I mean, who the hell
Well,
does
he
this
was-
like
he
in his
was-
spare time?
Well, I don't know.
I am the gargle master, man.
Yeah,
just
the
sounds
Gargaloki
bad, just
champion
like,
by 2 years running.
Right, okay.
Come on.
I was finished what it is.
Oh man.
This is going well.
Oh man.
Oh mate, that full on like.
So there goes my my microphone. That's good.
For anyone listening and not watching the video, like
Dude.
just water went just so
Yeah.
far in the air, all over the
Right.
and everything.
Based on that, I'm gonna guess "In the Night Garden" theme tune.
No.
Mate, it's just. Could I have a clue of some kind? Like, what's the?
The guy with glasses, the singer.
Fuck, there's loads of them.
Oh my god, I can't believe I just did that.
Oh, don't worry about it, mate. It's
Yeah,
fine.
don't worry about it, mate. Mate, I couldn't.
No
even
idea.
Guess, I couldn't even
Plays
guess.
piano.
Is it Elton
Elton
John?
John.
It is Elton John.
What the fuck
and
was
the
the
song?
song?
Was
Is
Tiny
it-
Dancer?
Surely you would have gone. Da, 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 da. No.
After AC/DC, like
Yeah.
I don't know, I was doing the high thing.
Yeah,
I'll sing the lower bits.
Oh, honestly, I don't even think I'm gonna make it through a song.
No, go on, mate.
All right. So for anyone that watched episode 2, you might get this because it's the same song but different.
I know what it is. Any guesses?
No.
Is it Bar Bar Black Sheep
It is.
/ Twinkle Twinkle
my
Little
God.
Stars?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was fun. What did you think
Class.
of? What did you think of Gargaloki? How was that for you?
hard,
it was
isn't it?
interesting. I think it's
Yeah.
the first time I've done it in my life, and I spat water all of you guys. So
Yeah.
that was
That's
great.
good.
That was good fun.
Success.
enjoyed
I would
that,
say.
man. That was
Yeah.
fun.
Successful.
Let's do it more
Right.
often.
So we want to ask you real quick. What are you and what is Finding Aurora up to at the moment? What can we expect for 2022? Have you kind of got like some releases planned, some new music, some new shows? Give us all the fucking goss.
Okay, so I mean, obviously, like with COVID and all that stuff, like things are like always up in the air. So like, we're doing stuff at the moment. So obviously, we got a new song recorded. We work with yourself. That's gonna be coming out soon. New music.
Do we get the name of the song or not yet?
No.
Ooh.
I like to keep things secret, man.
Keep us in
When
suspense.
roughly when is it coming out?
The next 2 months.
Okay.
So
sick.
next 2 months we'll have a new track out. So really excited because this is like, I won't give too much away because I kind of like to reel people in and be like, "Ooh, I've got this and this." You know what I mean? But it obviously, you know what it's like. It's a very much
It's different for you, isn't it?
for sure, man. And I like, what we've written in this track. I'm like, I'm into it. Like, it's super, different, and it's got a different, like, I guess, like, emotional aspect to the song in a way.
Yeah, it's more
even
like,
through the chords and like, the chords we were playing and just like the drums and everything. Like, it's an emotional, like, heavy rock ballad. I would
it's
say.
more nice
like
melodic, right? For sure, than like your other stuff,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
melody orientated rather than just like riff orientated. Whereas like a lot of the other stuff is just like, let's write a big fucking heavy riff. Everyone goes mental. They know the drill.
Yeah.
Whereas with this one is like you are definitely focusing more on like drawing out the sort of like the melody and stuff and kind of it is more emotional, I'd say as well. Like.
Yeah, mate, it'd be really nice to hear some stuff like that, from you guys.
It's probably one of
I
my
think you
favourites,
pulled off
actually, I think, of yours.
Thanks, man.
I mean, I'm not lucky enough to have listened to it yet.
You haven't-
but
you
I'm
haven't
very
heard
much
it.
looking forward to it. Very much looking forward to it.
I mean, yeah, it's like you say, it's like we obviously chatting about earlier and stuff. You've got to try different things as an artist to keep things
Yeah.
refreshing because, how many like, I mean, AC/DC wrote like the same kind
album.
of song, but
Yeah.
like for every
Yeah,
album.
yeah.
But, that's what they do. But I mean, like, they wouldn't write like Bo Rap, you know what I mean? Or, like,
I'll tell you, I'd love to hear that.
I would too. I mean,
Same, I paid good money to see
Is it
that.
Brian Jones singing Bohemian Rhapsody? That'd be awesome.
I mean,
Brian Jones. It is Johnson, isn't it?
that was the guy from the Rolling Stones, Brian Jones.
Oh,
Good.
that's so bad.
But
yeah.
you've got to try different things, and like I think for us, we can do like the heavy rock shit and like
Yeah.
keep it like
That's like your main thing, right?
yeah, for sure. But I think we can incorporate elements of that also in with something quite beautiful and
Yeah.
something you could translate to an acoustic guitar, and have an acoustic version. But then you've got like a big rock track, and it's like I think when you can do that, like you've kind of got a recipe. For a
Yeah,
good song,
I agree, man. I think it's actually interesting that, I'm a big fan of Royal Blood, but they went to go and see a tribute act of themselves, right? They went to go and see a Royal Blood tribute act, and they said they felt exhausted after watching it, and it inspired them to write their third album to make, because basically they said they felt exhausted because they felt that like it was all so high energy. Every single song, the entire set was just like, fuck, like in your face. And they were like, whereas for a while that's what they wanted to do, but if they're going to go for like longer sets and they're playing like an hour and a half, 2 hour shows, they need some diversity. And I think that's kind of what they realized by almost watching themselves. Oh no, it's not, it's not themselves, but it's the closest thing they're probably going to get without watching a video. To being live. They went to go and watch this tribute act, and they wrote the third album, I think, kind of based off that entire experience. They just wanted to diversify, and just kind of do something different.
Well,
And
it's just, I always say it's so nice to get like bands that have a bit of variety. Like they try new things. Like they just are not afraid to just experiment a little bit.
yeah,
with
they
their
don't
sound
stick
and
in
songwriting
their
style.
lane, and they try different things. And I think that was
man.
that's huge, especially like for
Super
yourself with this
important,
next song.
man.
I think that's great.
Only
Yeah.
certain bands can write the same album, like those AC/DC
Yeah.
people, those bands.
man.
But like it's like you've got to test the waters, man. Otherwise, how do you
definitely.
grow as an artist and as a song? I don't really class myself as a songwriter.
Well, you
or
are,
guitar
but-
player. Like,
You are.
Well, I've seen you play guitar and you have written songs.
so
I'd
therefore,
say,
you are
yeah.
both.
but I think like you've got to try different stuff, man.
Yeah.
Like Nirvana, like I always refer to them because they had like 3 or 4 albums, so you know what I mean, like, and you go from the first album, Bleach, which was like a super like low budget, grunge album. Then it's like they went to like pop rock grunge, you know what I mean? And it changed. Then in Utero, they went back to their roots a lot more, you know. Even with the Beatles, all these famous bands and stuff. Prince,
Oh, man.
Prince is a perfect
The Beatles,
example of
like,
someone.
When you think the Beatles
Yeah.
were only around for a few years, like the amount of variety they had in everything,
massive.
was
Yeah.
mental.
Like
Yeah.
it's almost kind of like you could listen to two different albums and be like, is this the same band? But then obviously the more you get familiar with them, the more you get to know their songwriting traits, and then you're like, oh, of course it's the same band, because it's like, you know the way they write their songs, their melodies, their choices of rhythms and stuff like that, are generally consistent. But then of course, like, there's just sound, and then there are some songs that are just like totally different, and that's what made them, you can find your niche, and then that'll take you up to a certain point. And then it's then how you develop and kind of like change and adapt to once you've got there is how long you stay up there, I'd say. Because otherwise it's like, if you're just kind of doing the same thing, you're just going to keep going down, because people have heard it. They get bored. People want new sounds from the people, I mean, again, there are like a few exceptions, like a few, what's the fucking word I'm looking for?
Exceptions.
That's the word I'm looking for. Yeah, there are a few exceptions to that, like I said, with AC/DC and stuff like that. But generally, I think you're in a world now where you need to have variety. You need to be able to pull different songs out the hat, for in a show that you want to have a song that people just stand there and sing back to you, and then you want, if the majority of your set wants to be fucking mad, everyone's smashing their head against each other, great, that's fine, but you then do need, a moment where it chills out a little bit, so then they can recharge and they can then go again.
Yeah, I mean, my favorite artists have always been ones that kind of have a lot of variety. Like obviously the Beatles, and like David Bowie was a huge one for that.
For sure.
And more recently, like bands like Foals. Like every album is so different.
Foals are incredible.
Yeah,
man.
they're incredible.
Their new single, "Wake Me Up," I put it on. I was like,
so good, isn't it?
Yeah, just
first time I heard it ages ago, I'm like, holy crap, that was like, disco, like super disco. No one can argue with that. That song is
But the production was like gritty and dirty, which made it kind of like, made it them. The production is like that thing on that song where I was like, had that been produced by Mark Ronson, that could have been totally different,
Oh my god.
So it's like the production, I think, on that song is a testament to how the producer understood their sound. They understood that they were going for something different, but still wanted to keep that in the realms of what Folds are about. Because Folds are quite a big entity if you look at, like, the kind of different stuff what they do, and they're not just one thing, but I think that song, I agree. I think it was a great new direction that I think is
I really liked it.
It's like
they did that whole 2-part album thing where
that was fucking
awesome.
awesome.
The first part of the album,
Everything Not
more
Save
sort
Is
of,
Lost.
what a title!
Part one, part
what
two.
a great title for an album.
So the second part was like really like rock and kind of in your face, and then the first part was more
Traditional
kind of,
Folds?
Well, it was kind of like synthy, a lot of it, like kind of almost dancey, and it was
Which I think is
awesome,
maybe
man.
what some like hints of like their earlier stuff, like some of their stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that's kind of what I wanted to talk about for that. So yeah, you've got lots of any gigs coming up?
Nothing planned at the moment, but the end of the year is looking. I see end of the year, like, I guess
Nothing announced yet.
nothing announced. Yeah. Stuff's going to be happening.
Gigs to be announced.
Stuff will be happening.
That's awesome. Well, I look forward to seeing it. I mean, as I said, like, you guys are honestly one of my favorite live bands.
Thanks,
I remember the first
Agreed,
time
yeah.
that
Thank you. Yeah.
I remember the first time that I saw you guys, and I've seen you a few times since. You did this great thing where you were all wearing like matching white. Were they boiler suits?
Oh, yeah.
And
the Dickies,
we did
man.
this. You did this great thing where like I came into the front row, and you were stood like on this box. You're like up in the air. And like you were getting people. Well, you got me to do it as well.
Yeah.
Like, put my hand like on your guitar neck to like fret something, and then you like play it as well.
Play the
and,
note.
You really nailed the whole like audience participation, and everyone was just having such a good time.
Fucking lifting you up.
It was
You were
great,
like playing
man.
guitar mid-air. Fucking class, man.
Yeah.
Well, I think, like, if you saw me like when I was in high school, I was like this like shell of my, what do
Of
they
who
say,
you
like-
are now, really.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah,
and
wearing like a bootleg Nirvana t-shirt, listening to Everybody
dude,
Hurts
that was
by
me as a
R.E.M.
kid. That was me. Like, and I would,
Yeah.
every time, like, funny enough, back to what we were chatting before, like, I would look forward to going to school because I could listen to my In Utero CD in my dad's car on the way to school, and I would listen to the same
that's nice.
CD every morning. It was great, and then, like you say, like where I was then as a person, and how shy I was, like, even when I was like playing guitar for like a couple of years, and we were doing the school concerts, I was super like, head down, like no like charisma at all, man. Like just didn't have
Well,
that.
it's rare that I think that comes as like first nature. I think that's something you have to learn. It's like stagecraft. I don't think someone. I mean, it is a rarity. I'd say that if someone comes out the box, they've got everything. They can sing. They can move around the stage. They know exactly what to do when they're on stage. And I suppose it comes down to like a lot of the stuff that you're influenced by. I think Nirvana aren't like. I wouldn't say like Kurt Cobain was like a Freddie Mercury.
Oh no!
Do you know what I mean? He liked to kind of just play his songs everyone would go fucking mental. Like there was a bit of that interaction, but it wasn't so much that he was like controlling them like in the palm of his hand.
Just
He was a really intense performer, though.
Yeah, he was. Yeah,
like smashing guitars up and all sorts
Yeah,
of crazy
it's great.
stuff.
That's
But
what,
kind of
that's what rock and roll is, man.
yeah, like a lot of angst and a lot of like.
It's kind of
you
the
know.
flip side of the like frontman thing is you get the angsty performer and the like the Freddie Mercury's that are
Dude,
really full of
Lemmy
bravado
from
and
Motorhead,
stuff.
he's another one, man.
Yeah,
Just gets up there, bottle of JD, he's just like,
He's on one, man.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was awesome.
But like say, from where I was, I guess, as a person and as a musician, I say that so lightly every time. But,
You are. I don't know. You are a musician, so like.
Yeah, as I said, I've heard you play music and write
Therefore,
music.
you are a musician.
I mean, but yeah, so it's crazy, man. And that just came through like, I think the thing that set it off me was I did the like 100-meter sprint. I say did really lightly. You'll know why now.
Yeah.
So I did this
Okay.
thing, this sprint, 100-meter sprint, and it was a whole school. It was in like the stadium.
Oh, like
or whatever.
sports day type thing.
Yeah, it was a big sports day.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, sign me up, man. I was pretty like, I used to do a bit of running and stuff.
Yeah.
And I remember going down, and he had me do this like the start sprinters do, where they're like,
Oh yeah, they go down and they like.
run. And
Sit their ass in the
I
end
was
and
like,
they
oh my
run.
god, I've done this before. And my friend Sam, I'm really like tight with now. Like, he's a really cool guy. He comes to the gigs and all.
Mm-hmm.
He like does this, man. Like, he's like an athlete, I would say. Like, super quick guy. And he was next to me. And I thought, oh yeah, this is gonna be sick. So I did it. I took 2 steps. I fell over face first in front of the whole school. I shit you not, man. Like, ask anyone and they'll know. And I fell over on the floor in front of the whole school, and I was just led there like staring into like the abyss of this like tarmac running track. I was like, and the PE teacher came in and he's like, dude, you gotta go. He said, go. So I got it and I ran and I finished the race, and I was like, well, if I could fall over in front of the entire school pretty much, surely I can just sing a song or whatever. Like,
That's a great story.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
I feel like we were very similar in high school. I just
I'm
get the
sure we
vibe
would
that
have been
we
best
both
friends,
embarrassed ourselves in front of
Yeah.
hundreds of people.
Yeah.
unintentional, by the way. Like,
Yeah.
Totally unintentional.
But yeah, that was kind of the thing that set my confidence off a lot more. I guess from then upwards, in the later years of high school, like I became a lot more confident in myself and said yes to more opportunities and things.
Yeah, it's like
great, man. That's
those
great.
moments can either make or break you. I think you can either that can happen, and you can either go, right, I've now learned from this, and I'm gonna go, well, if I can do this, then doing something that maybe was scaring me before might not seem so scary, because I've now experienced what in your head at the time is probably the most embarrassing thing that could possibly ever happen, right? But that can also send you the other way, where it's like you then go further into that shell.
Yeah.
So it's good that you kind of came out the other end of it, and you kind of look at it that way, and I think that's definitely a good attitude to have.
Yeah.
And we can talk about this forever. I want to ask you 2 more questions. The first one is, if you weren't a musician, what would you be?
Ooh, I mean, God, that's a good one. I mean, I feel like everyone has that like alter like personality.
I mean, I feel like I know what your answer would be.
Oh well, this would be
Yeah, go on.
interesting.
I mean, just owner of a kebab shop. I mean,
Selling
what else?
chicken sheesh, man. I mean, that would be fun because I could like eat the leftovers and stuff. I would say, I don't know. I would something fun. I don't really have much interest in like normal things.
Would it be like would it be like manual labor, or like what would you want to be if you weren't a musician?
I would something crazy. So like maybe like I don't know, like a rally car driver. Or
Oh, really?
Something cool,
Oh,
man.
nice.
I like cars and stuff.
Yeah.
Man. Like, I mean, who doesn't?
Do you have any
Like,
experience in being that, or is that just something that you like? Have you done it before?
No,
like
just playing like
just something you'd like.
games and stuff,
Ideally,
man.
you'd
I
like
mean,
to be.
It does look like a good time.
Yeah,
It does look
I
like
mean,
it'd be
rally
a great
racing would be
time.
cool if I was like good at it. I probably suck. I can barely drive as it is. Right? You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, like something cool like that, or like I kind of like thought like architecture was a really cool
Okay.
thing.
Yeah.
And
Okay,
design,
so like
building
design.
things, man. Like,
The obvious choice is a rally driver or an architect.
yeah,
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
completely like I feel like when you can design something as amazing.
It's
as,
still
like,
kind of creative, though, isn't it?
for sure. Like
definitely.
I think I've always, when I first started playing guitar, like that creative edge kind of clicked on a bit, and like I enjoyed doing. I can't really paint or draw, man. Like,
Yeah, I
you
suck
know what
at
I mean?
that.
I'm
I can barely
terrible at
write
that.
letters. You know what I mean? It's that like, but
You're barely
something
literate. That's good.
something creative, like even in like I don't know, woodwork or something like something.
Yeah.
Cool. I like engaging things and touch. And
So it'd be physical, maybe
Yeah,
something like that.
for sure, man.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
yeah, for
interesting.
sure.
Interesting.
Okay,
Really
that's cool.
interesting.
Right, and then finally, to end the podcast, I would like you to shout out your favorite local music from the last week. Anything you've been listening to in the last week that you like and you want to shout out, go.
Okay, well, there's a few bands. So French Alps Tiger.
Yeah.
Great those guys are great.
We saw
met
them.
Yeah, we saw them.
They
So,
supported you. Class, I've got one of their cassettes.
Yeah.
Me too. I got
Super good
t-shirts.
band.
T-shirt, yeah.
I mean, we messaged them and I was like, I've heard this band before, like, you know, over the last 2 years, and like they've got a really like good, like, you know, when I listen to their music, it's kind of like being in a house party with a bunch of like cool indie rock kids, you know, you're all like, I don't know.
Good sound, isn't it?
Yeah, they've got a really like fun, you know, it reminds me of like being an early teenager. Their sound, I love it.
Yeah.
That band is really good.
Any song in particular?
The one about I Have to Tell a Lie, that one. Their biggest one on Spotify, like that's a really good track.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're a great band. I really
Super
enjoyed
good band.
seeing them when we
And
did.
really nice people too.
Yeah,
so
they are.
Yeah, they were
guys.
lovely.
Shout
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, but I guess in other like small like new bands across the UK, the Mysterines for me are like the best band in the UK at the moment.
They're
like,
great, man. They're
super
so
like
good.
heavy, Queens of the Stone Age, but you know, a girl singing it all. And it's
Her
amazing.
vocals
Man.
are like so good. I mean, she just sounds like she smokes 100 fags a day.
Yeah.
She probably, I mean, she might do.
She's got a great rasp.
Oh,
to
it
her
just
voice,
sounds
right?
Honestly,
class.
I've never heard a voice like it. Like,
Yeah,
It's amazing.
So
proper-
unique.
It's
so
the
great.
first,
Proper
like saying
good.
to you guys, it's the first band I've heard in like a long time where I'm like, oh,
They've actually made you
they're
kind of
onto
like-
something, and it's good because, like I say, it's like, oh well, what if you know a girl fronted Queens of the Stone Age, you know, and
awesome,
this is kind of what it is, and it's like, oh my god, this is like, the
But they're
best.
still their own thing though. Like I wouldn't. Queens aren't maybe something that I would have drawn on immediately. I can definitely see the influence in there, but I think it's just like that like heavy
Dude,
rock
and,
thing
like,
is
female
great.
fronted bands. Like I think they're blowing like, you know, the ass off. Like
Oh,
yeah.
I mean,
If
there's
you
so
look at,
many
like,
you know,
if you look at
better
like,
bands.
you know,
Yeah.
like Wolf Alice.
Oh,
people have
they're unreal.
incredible
put out an
band.
amazing album last year.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah,
you
loved
can't
it, man.
deny like female fronted music. It needs more
There needs to be more,
sure,
more
man.
representation. I think for sure.
Definitely. I mean,
it's
it's,
just like,
nice to kind of hear like the female perspective. You know,
Yeah.
Just it's just great
sure,
to hear.
man.
Oh man, just so many good bands. So many.
Yeah,
Yeah,
But
100%.
what about you guys, man? Like,
Well, I mean,
well, somebody
go on.
I've been listening to who's a local Cardiff guy. Just like it's just so nice. I just have such a fond memory of seeing them in the Moon. Like I saw him play in the Moon a while back. It's Sunny Winnebago, just like really just chilled out, beautiful like acoustic guitar playing, like really nice delicate melodies, sort of similar to like a Jack Johnson. Kind
yeah,
of
like
thing.
you could
That
easily
kind of
you
thing.
could be smoking a spliff on like I don't know, like a hammock, like on a beach, and you just be that's the kind of music you'd want playing, right?
Yeah, man. I just walked in and I heard it play, and I was just instantly in a better mood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just so chilled out and nice. I remember they were all sat on the floor of the stage when I saw them. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, I don't know
Nice.
why that hadn't clicked, but I remember that. That was he was sat on the floor, and like, I think one guy had like a little keyboard, right? And then he was like on a ukulele or like a little guitar or
So
something.
there was a couple of guys on stage.
Yeah, great.
It was
Oh,
great.
yeah, that was
They
great.
were so
I really
nice.
enjoyed that gig actually.
Yeah, I mean, check out the song "Little Sun." It's just beautiful. Like, there's some really nice acoustic sort of fingerstyle guitar playing. Again, beautiful vocal melodies. The whole vibe of it is just really nice.
Yeah.
And just relaxing.
Mate,
Really enjoyable.
music for the bath.
yeah,
It's
Bath,
music.
bath.
It's music for your Friday night when you don't want to go out and see anyone.
That's it.
You know what I mean? Just
That
stay in
is
and
it.
relax by yourself.
That's
I
a
hope
wicked
that
time.
we don't mean any offense by that. Like that's actually like a very good thing.
Yeah, you just want to stay in and just like chill out. Like maybe have some friends over.
Eat yourself to
like,
death with,
Have
like,
some nice
toast.
Just have a night in for yourself. A bit of me time with Sunny Winnebago.
Bit of me time.
Yeah.
Bit of me time. That's what we want. You know what? I'll second that. I think that was I really enjoyed like watching that. I mean, it was a while back, but that was great. And then for me, my personal one, I've actually been spinning this a lot, like since it came out. But recently again this week, TJ Roberts, right?
okay.
I've never seen them live, but I think I got turned on to them because Tom from Buzzard produced the song.
okay.
So I follow like a lot of stuff that he does, and I like his production style,
Yeah,
and I
me
think it
too.
sounds great. I'm pretty sure it was either this song or he's produced some songs for them before, and I remember like listening to it and thinking like it had a really great like sound to it, and the production to it was kind of like the whole thing that Buzzard have. It's retro, but they've kind of done it in a modern way. But I'm like, yeah, it just works for me. I think it's a really good song. Great melodies. Drums sound great as well. Drums sound really
Nice.
good. But yeah, that's my shout out for the week. Right, so we would like to end this podcast by asking Sam, past tense of run.
Ran.
Incorrect. Ren.
Ren.
Good night.
No, run. Well, actually, before we go, I just want to ask Sam: is there anything you want to plug? Socials, music out there at the moment that you recommend people should listen to?
There's a lot, but I would say go listen to these guys.
What a prick.
Don't do that.
Go listen to us, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what we're getting at, mate.
I don't
It's
know,
you.
man. Yeah.
Go check out Find the Aurora on all social media. It's Find the Aurora UK on pretty much all of the social media accounts. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, whatever. Go check out all their music videos. All that good stuff. Listen to them on Spotify. In about 5 years, they can buy a Freddo. Good night. See you in a bit.
Thank you.
Ren.
Rock's dead, man. Rock's not dead, it just smells bad.